It was the night that kept on giving. Suspenseful suspensions, failed recusals in Parliament, and the Mkhwanazi saga that just won't quit. Power, politics, and intrigue collided. So what really happened? And what does it all mean? Let's break it down. Spread the fire. Welcome to SMWX. My name is Otsile Nkadimeng. And today we'll be breaking down the breaking down of the special ad hoc committee into the allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Now, last night, Parliament met to discuss the recusal of certain members of the committee and to discuss witnesses going forward. Something you think would be very simple. But as it proved to be in practice, it was a political show in how not to carry out a meeting. The first order of business was really to discuss Shadrack Sibiya's testimony at the committee and the references Sibiya had made to members of the committee, specifically members from the MK party, the Honorable Skhosana, and from the Democratic Alliance that had lodged a case against him. And he expressed the deep conflict of interest that he felt happened in that specific sitting during that specific moment. But more specifically, Sibiya was at pains to talk about the fact that he can't address certain matters in front of these people because they're actually prejudiced against him. And the mere fact being that they lodged a case against him, that is evidence enough to prove that these people don't have standing to be his inquisitors in this committee. So I want to play you a clip from this last night, this discussion.
During the committee proceedings of the 13th of October 2025, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, Mr. Sibiya, who appeared as a witness before the committee, made mention of the fact that he is participating in the proceedings under protest due to the fact that two members of the committee, Mr. David Mandas Kosana of the MK party and Mrs. Lee Samari Shekelik of the Democratic Alliance, are both complainants in a criminal case against him. We are advised that on the 14th of October 2025, which was yesterday, when it was time for members of the committee to put questions to the witness, Mr. Sibiya refused to field some of the questions put to him by Mr. David Skhosana on the basis that the search and seizure warrant that was executed, I'm getting lost now, that was executed at his house on the 9th of October 2025 was amongst others occasioned by the criminal complaint opened against him by Mr. Skhosana on 10 July 2025.
So you heard it there for yourself. Major General Sibiya, though raising pertinent facts, is not really in a position where he can decline to answer certain questions in front of certain members of the committee. But one of the things that really emerged and came to be a very important discussion point was the question of the ability for members of this committee to be recused. Now, you'd remember this specifically with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's testimony, where there was very spirited debate about whether or not people such as DA MP Diane Kohler Barnard should still form part of the committee and be the questioners of people like Sibiya, who are the core witnesses of this entire committee. I mean, he's the reason it exists. But the question was whether or not such MPs should still remain a part of the special committee, the ad hoc committee. And if so, wouldn't that compromise the sitting in and of itself? Now, the Democratic Alliance responded saying they're going to take this under review and they're actually going to seek legal guidance and advice as to whether or not their MP, Diane Collar-Barnard, should recuse herself. But the thing about this that was very perplexing for me was, if you read the rules of this committee, the things that they had to both confirm when they were establishing the special ad hoc, there are no powers to compel a member of the committee to recuse themselves. So why are we now taking pause to review legally whether or not members should recuse themselves? As in, the committee should compel people to recuse themselves when you don't have those powers to begin with. And the committee chair, Member of Parliament, Soviet Likhanyane, confirmed this, both in the meeting but also with Parliament's internal legal house, which came back and laid out the grounds under which conflicts of interests do arise. But even in instances where those conflicts of interest arise, the situation with the Honorable Diane Collar-Barnard, those situations don't have bearing, they don't meet the criteria for an MP to have to recuse themselves. And this also proved the same with the MK Party's member in this committee, the Honorable Skhosana. So when looking at this, you see, these guys have been at it for what's pretty close to a month now. How do they not know their own rules? And even if they don't know their own rules, why are they still debating how they should be taking on legal advice? Now, I want to play the second clip. The second clip is the members in the committee listening to Parliament's internal legal house, explaining to them the rules and procedures. And then I'm going to go into the third part, but let's just listen to this clip quickly.
Although the advice correctly distinguishes between a permissible and mere disposition and a tentative view, it also cites a principle of bias or partiality that occurs when a tribunal approaches a case and it shuts its mind to submissions made or evidence tendered, close quote. The advice then further claims that being the complainant who opened the criminal case against a witness does not exhibit bias. We disagree on the basis that by opening a criminal case, the affected members have taken a definitive adversarial step of alleging the witness committed a crime and therefore initiating a process intended to lead to their prosecution. This is not a tentative view.
Sure. But I think the part that was most, crazy about this was the fact that MPs who were not even planning to take this under legal review, so were not even planning to go and take the 24 hours granted to them by the committee to have the legal recommendations reviewed by their own counsel, still wanted to belabor the point and force each member of the committee to have to dedicate time to giving their opinion on this. Now, bear in mind, this is costing us money. The legal counsel that's there, the infrastructure that it takes to actually keep this committee going. It might be virtual, but there's costs in that infrastructure. All of this really is frustrating the process because it's introducing more confusion. But you hear some of the points that these MPs are making, and you have to ask yourself, why would they be trying to force a review, non-legal, of the advice given both from Parliament and from the Democratic Alliance? You heard it for yourself. The DA brought their own internal or separate legal review, which has no bearing in the work of the committee. But MPs still want to push this point. At the end of the day, the conflict of interest matter should not be something we are discussing now. and it's not something they should have been discussing in preparation to today's testimony of the suspended police minister, Senzo Mkhunu. In fact, they spent close to 4 hours having this conversation. And the only time Mkhunu's name came up was in witness testimony. And I want to spend a bit of time there because this, I think, has to be the most concerning part of this entire meeting that was happening last night. So they finally get over the fact that no one can be compelled to recuse themselves. And Parliament and the evidence leaders get to actually say who are the witnesses that are coming up next. So the confirmed list of witnesses whose statements are in progress and there has been communication with them are the sitting Deputy Police Minister Castle Matale, the Deputy Police Minister Sheila Poli Bushelo, the Acting Police Minister Professor Feroz Kachalia, which adds for an interesting dimension. He's only coming in now to sort of give us the appearance of SAPS is trying to clean itself up. They brought someone external, but I'm interested to see what value they think they're going to get from Professor Kachalia. The head of the National Prosecuting Authority, Advocate Shamila Batoy. Hasn't that name come up a lot? And the head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, and the suspended Inspector General of Intelligence, Imtiaz Faisal, who at the time, Imtiaz Faisal, who at the time when they were having this conversation was not yet suspended. And it was funny enough, the ANC that brought up strong objection to his testimony. Did they know the suspension was coming? Who knows? What are they trying to hide? But I think for me, the interesting part here were the non-confirmed witnesses. Now, these were people who were proposed, but the committee has not yet contacted. And this was really where the breakdown happened. And I'm talking about the breakdown of this entire process, even further than over the recusal matters. And top of the list, in terms of prominence, is President Ramaphosa. This name triggered quite a lot of anxiety in the room. But the one that devolved the entire conversation was when the proposal of former President Jacob Zuma being compelled to come and testify. That is where everything went wrong. Because it seemed in retaliation, this became less of a who would be the most valuable witness to have and became more of a you calling my guy, so I'm going to call yours. And the response was, okay, let's also call Thabo Mbeki, former president, and former President Kgalema Motlanthe. And whilst we're at it, let's drop in SG Fikile Mbalula and former Minister Jeff Radebe. One of the interesting names which seemed to trigger the ANC members of the committee very badly was the suggestion of Morgan Maumera. Now, I understand how they may have seen this as perhaps maybe not related. You know, the talk of Tembisa, SIU versus this coming from Mkhwanazi's July 6 press conference. But when we actually dissect this matter, what you're seeing here is this process, which has already been extended, now being used to air out separate political matters which don't have direct correlation to the terms of reference of this special ad hoc committee, but have deep resonance with the capture of not just state institutions, but high office in South Africa. But when I tell you things devolved, I mean seriously, to the point that it became a shouting match between Julius Malema of the EFF and a member of the MKP, just when you thought we had resolved the matter. Listen to this clip.
We are unreasonable people.
Kekana is the
People
only one who
they
disagrees.
are all
Kekana is the only one who disagrees.
No,
Why should we be held at
it's
ransom by
you, it's you,
Kekana?
Malema.
Why does he
If you
think
have
he's got
the problem,
a
we
power
did not
over
agree
other
on
members?
that. Chair,
He's the
we
only one who
agree that
disagrees.
we are going to
They cannot
discuss
speak.
the matter.
They
The last
cannot speak
category.
and second
That's what
themselves.
we agreed upon.
You know how democracy works. You don't
No,
speak and
it
second
doesn't
yourself.
work like that.
No
We
one has
cannot be
seconded
told
them.
by Malema here.
Oh yeah. Guys, I'm not sure how many of you are from AMA 2000s like me, but if you ever watched Monsters, Inc., there's a scene there where they use screaming to actually power the lights in their world. Sure, how I wish we had that technology. Hey, Eskom and load shedding would not have been a problem, eh? But there you're seeing the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, and the honorable member from the MKP, the honorable Skhosana, going at it just when they had gotten resolution on the fact that the witness list, the second list, which are people who are yet to be brought to testify, that list is not yet concluded. So at the point where they were arguing, the chair had said, listen, this was us introducing the names, but we're also going to revisit this matter again to say, these people, do they have direct plug into the testimony we've already heard? Now, at the end of the day, just extracting yourself from this situation and looking at this from the view of an ordinary South African, you can't help but feel so discouraged with the fact that this is where this ad hoc committee is. Instead of being a committee that is on the basis of the evidence, on the basis of the facts, going over everything, coming prepared with names, coming ready to defend their point of view and ready to take all of the legal and procedural considerations into view, we're seeing it devolving into a space of just complete political sportsmanship, goalpost moving, maneuvering, all tactical in the political arena. But for the purposes of distilling down to the truth, none of this is helping us get any closer to understanding just how far and how deep the rot goes. So as we are doing this recording, the suspended police minister, Senzo Mkhwanazi, is giving his testimony right now, his first day of testimony. And hopefully the committee, in the 8 or so hours between the end of that meeting and the commencement of when they needed to prepare for Mkhwanazi today, they have actually gotten their act together. Because looking at the preparation that they're doing for the remaining witness list, you need to hope that this committee can put aside their petty political differences and actually agree on a solid path forward. But on Wednesday night, there was another bombshell that rocked the political space, and that was the suspension of Imtiaz Faizal, who, for those of you who don't know, is the Inspector General of Intelligence. Now, his suspension comes in line with Section 7, subparagraph 4, and Section 7, subparagraph 5 of the Intelligence Services Act, which pretty much say that the moment in which a misconduct has been lodged against someone in the position of Mr. Faizal, you have to be suspended and put aside. But the thing that's really fascinating here is, in a time where we're really trying to unearth quite a lot of misconduct, why aren't we being told by the presidency, because it was President Ramaphosa that suspended him, the specific nature of this misconduct? There's a lot of things that are seemingly happening behind the scenes that lots of us who are keeping a keen eye on this process are not privy to. At the end of the day, Faizal's suspension is yet another scandal to hit the South Africa's policing and intelligence apparatus. None of this inspires much confidence in the fact that we are going to get down to the truth. But because viewers like you and channels like SMWX are keeping a keen eye on what's happening, we can be sure, at least on our side, that we're going to make sure that whatever happens, we see it and passes through our eyes. So if you've been watching this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to SMWX. We'll be bringing you a lot more of these analysis videos regarding Mkhwanazi and the Special Ad Hoc Committee and the Madlanga Commission. But until then, stay tuned to SMWX. Yeah.